So welcome to our first big story for today, where we now turn our attention to Rivers State. So, Governor Siminalayi Fubara's presentation of the 2025 budget has sparked a political firestorm, with the APC describing it as illegal. The controversy stems from claims that the governor presented the budget to only 3 lawmakers, bypassing the standard legislative process and raising serious questions about the legitimacy of the appropriation bill. Now, critics argue that this alleged violation of due process undermines the principles of accountability and transparency in governance. However, the state government remains and maintains that the budget presentation was conducted without, or rather within, the bounds of the law. So, what really transpired, and what are the political and legal ramifications for Rivers State?
And so joining us this morning to unpack these issues is Mr. Chibike Ikenga. He's the Publicity Secretary for APC Rivers State. Now, let me start by saying, before we get into our conversation, Mr. King, I want to say thank you so much for joining us and a very happy New Year to you.
Okay, we'll fix the sound, don't worry.
We'll try to fix your sound there, but I must also note here that we extended an invitation to the Victor Okojombo-led House as well, and unfortunately we didn't get any response from them, as none of them agreed for this interview, and they turned that invitation down. They still do have a right of reply throughout the course of this conversation, and the invitation for an interview is still very much open for the members of the House. In the meantime, we do have something we'd like to play for you. Let's just take a look at this package, or rather this report, and then we'll come back and start the conversation with Mr. Ikenga. Take a look.
It is unfortunate, it is unimaginable, it is unthinkable that a governor had risen through the ranks. If for nothing else, he was a civil servant, full-blown civil servant, in the Ministry of Finance. It means, of course, that over the years, he's not a toddler in the business of budget and how it is presented. 27 of the assembly members are on this side. 3 members of assembly are on this side. And between you and I, is it not an anathema that a budget of a state as prominent and as all-important as Rivers State will be presented to an illegal setting? Court of Appeal, in their various judgments, from the days of Omotosha, way back in January 2024, it is clear in the judgment of Omotosha that a budget has to be presented to a legislative arm under the leadership of Martins, Right Honorable Martins Chike Ikenga. I did all I could today as we speak on this matter. Each time I see the assembly members and see them still fronting their PDP membership, I just tell myself that for once you have lost something. I'm a goal-getter, but in that case, I lost it. I challenge any person from any ward, from any LGA, because I had to set my searchlight, and I was wishing that any one of them would go and register for the party. None registered.
And now we return to our guest, Mr. Ikenga, who's on standby and has been since we started this conversation here. Mr. Ikenga, good morning once again, and thank you for joining us. Let's see if we can get your audio now.
Yeah, good morning. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome, Mr. Ikenga. Mr. Ikenga, first off, let's get where you stand on this matter of the appropriation bill being illegal or not, or who it was presented to and to how many members of the House.
Okay, thank you for the question. Firstly, you'd recall that I speak for the Rivers State All Progressives Congress, and therefore I shall continue to do so, and even now. I just listened to the clip from the chairman of the party, Chief Tony Okocha, and clearly it is illegality upon illegality from Rivers State government in most of their actions, if not all, excuse me. More so, this government has a reputation of disobedience to court orders. a reputation for working against the laid down principles of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, which in the first place created the office of the government, whether it is the executive, the legislature, and the judiciary in Rivers State. So it is a known fact. We have canvassed it elaborately on all platforms to the fact that government of Rivers State under Governor Siminalayi Fubara continuing to tread on the path of illegality will create tension, will drive away development, and will continue to deepen disagreements and will not encourage integration in our state.
And there are claims that the governor presented the budget to just 3 lawmakers. Is this true?
They are not claims. They are facts that he presented to an association of friends. You recall that Justice Omotosho, about January, and the Court of Appeal had at different times mandated the Rivers State government under Governor Siminalayi Fubara to make representation of the budget of 2024 to the House of Assembly only led by Right Honorable Martins Assembly and the only recognized House of Assembly in Rivers State. But the government had continued to disobey such positions from the high courts to the appellate courts. And we believe that they will also disobey Supreme Court decisions.
So, but the governor has claimed that this was done within the law. I mean, he can stake his bottom dollar on the fact that this was within the law. What's your thoughts regarding his claim that it was legal?
Well, the governor is he's the one making the decisions to disobey the courts and court decisions. So what do you expect him to say? He will rationalize why what he's doing is right. But the governor who heads the executive is not the head of the legislature. He's not also the head of the judiciary. And you know, when there is a conflict between two arms of government, particularly the legislature and the executive, it is the responsibility of the judiciary to settle it by interpreting what exactly the letters and spirit of the Constitution is. And in this case, the judiciary has intervened because there's a disagreement between the legislature and the executive. And the judiciary, having done their job by interpreting what the position is, the executive under Governor Siminalayi Fubara in Rivers State has refused to obey them and has continued to encourage disobedience to such orders and judgments and rulings from Court of Law.
And now I have to ask you what the APC plan will be, to challenge this illegality, in quotation. What is the APC's plan?
APC, as a law-abiding party nationally, and in this case in Rivers State, have continued to follow due processes by challenging illegalities of the government in courts of law. That's the only window that we do have. We cannot take laws into our hands. We cannot resort to self-help. So we will continue to press on from the judicial angle to ensure that the proper things are done. Whether decisions are taken against us, the APC, or our interests, or what we believe in, or not, we shall continue to obey the law and follow it. So we have said, and we believe it is illegal to present a budget. But take note that democracy is about participation and representation. And in the House of Assembly is where you have both participation and people's representation. And it will be a misnomer for the governor and the government of Rivers State to deny the larger spectrum of Rivers citizens the opportunity to be represented. And in this case, note that in this case, budget presentation, budget implementation is at the core of governance. And if this larger number of citizens of Rivers State are excluded from the budget process, then you can quickly say the end. The end is that the people have been cut off and it has become a rule by just a few. And that's not what democracy contemplated in the first place.
Mr. Ikenga, let's focus on that. Let's take away the legal ramifications of this. Let's look at the political implications. Let's look at the governance implications here. Because when we have these discussions, most times we always talk about the players in the legislature, but we never seem to talk about the people who are supposed to be governed and how this matters to them. So what are the implications? What are we looking at here for the regular person walking on the streets of Rivers State if this budget is not passed and this controversy going back and forth about it?
Yeah, like I did mention a short while ago, the people have been excluded from participation. People have been excluded from representation. They have also been excluded from completely being part of the governance in Rivers State by this act. And the implication is that it becomes what we can describe as fascistic. Becomes what we can describe as impunity taken too far, wherein the essence of democracy, essence of governance is the people. And then when the people who are the sole aim of instituting government, protection of lives and property, protection of the interests of the people, the masses of the people, what Jeremy Bentham did say as Subon Bonum, wherein the essence of policy making, the essence of implementation, even adjudication should be aimed at encouraging or ensuring that the largest number of people are made happy. So you can see that the largest number of people here in Rivers State are excluded. And that is counterproductive to the principles and theories of utilitarianism as propounded by Jeremy Bentham and J.S. Mill and others.
With all of this playing out, right, with the House, Okojombo-led faction, the Amawale-led faction, APC, Fubara, and the minister, Wike, what happens to the legislative process in the state, in just the House in and of itself? Because it's still very much an integral part of the state when it comes to the structure of governance for River State.
Yeah, I think that there is politicization, a complete politicization of governance in River State. Where an arm of government will, because it has the resources domiciled with it, will twist other arms to ensure that they do not operate. Remember that Montesquieu and others, they provide for separation of powers as a proper way to checkmating executive rascality, and judicial and as well as legislative misbehaviors, quote and unquote. So if we obey the instructions of the constitutions, or rather spirit and letters of the Constitution of Nigeria, you will agree that governance will be seamless. But like I said, people have imputed personal interests in their daily implementation or policy framework of the state. And that, of course, is antithetical to the interests and development of the people and the state.
It just begs to wonder, how then, work can be done, or even the very basics, just like legislative passing bills and just being able to do the very basics of democracy when this continues to happen. And what is on the for APC for 2025? And when I say APC, I mean River State APC party for the state. What is for the people of River State?
Okay, as an opposition party here in River State, our interest is to continue to ensure that the people are the basis upon which we operate. When government faction policies and programs will ensure that the beneficiaries, which are the people, must benefit maximally from it. And then when we see such policy frameworks and it does not align with encouraging and impacting positively on the socioeconomic status of the people in the state, we criticize them. And then when policies also are framed in such a way that it does not take into consideration the needs of the people within the state, we also go against, and we shall continue to assiduously this year, 2025, to pursue such goals. So ensuring that government is accountable. Government must ensure that earnings and receipts match, and that they are in line and in tandem with the expectations of Rivers people in terms of delivery on the projects, delivery on what the expectations of the people of Rivers. Otherwise, then there will be no essence of government in Rivers State. But we shall continue as APC to ensure that Rivers people benefit maximally from the revenues accrued to the state, from the policies and programs of the government of the day, to ensuring that the people reap bountifully from their God-given resources.
Mr. Ikenga, still on the Rivers people that you just spoke about, what do you think their outlook is when it comes to looking at the party in governance and the opposition? What will their decision be come 2027? Do you think that this has a notch on their thinking or how they perceive the ruling party?
Well, the ruling party is in tatters, and a lot of them have disagreed within their ranks, and the only viable alternative is the APC in Rivers State. And I can assure you that in 2027, beginning from this 2025, APC will win over the state. You also know that the people have become frustrated because of the decisions of the government of the day. They have gone into projects. The question we ask always is that, are these projects needed at this time? Or the projects are to fund the profligacy of the government, or to try to do showmanship for the government? We look at projects that impact directly on the people of Rivers State and will encourage the government to go on that trajectory. And the government has refused to do so. That's why we are against them. And the people are also against them.
Mr. Ikenga, I want to say thank you for just taking out the time this morning to join us and have this conversation. Once again, to the Victor Kojombo-led House, they still do have a right of reply to any of the member of the House to come and, reply to any of the submission that Mr. Chibike Ikenga has said on here. Mr. Chibike, once again, many thanks. He's the Publicity Secretary for APC, giving us a bit of update, as APC have said that the appropriation bill that has been passed into law by the House, the Kojombo-led House of Assembly for Rivers State, is illegal. Once again, thank you.